Let's get positive about 11th edition 40k. There's a saying that's been kind of cropping up on my feed a lot lately, and I absolutely love it. And it's, life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react to it. And I think that's a beautiful saying, and everybody should take that on board more. And obviously, as we've been moving closer and closer to the launch of 11th edition 40k, the kind of cynics have, of course, wormed their way out into the community and have just filled pages after pages of Reddit with drivel and horrible things and complaining about this and complaining about that, even though they don't have the rules in their hand yet and they have absolutely no idea how it's actually going to play. So I just think that's absolute nonsense, and I'm trying to let that just wash off me and just stick to the things that I'm super excited about. I know I'm going to play 11th edition a lot. I've got a whole bunch of armies ready to rock and roll. I have a whole bunch more armies that I want to do for that edition. So yeah. So in today's video, I'm going to go through 5 things that I'm super excited for in 11th edition 40k. Number 1 is the lore. I'm super excited for the return to Armageddon, the story that they're going to tell there, the return of Ghazghkull Thrako. We have the old man Yarrick returning, and an epic war is going to ensue. If they're going to focus so heavily on one specific war zone for an entire edition, I'm just really excited to see where it goes and what it does. I love that the rules and the additions are now finally pushing forward with the story instead of previous it always just being kind of 1 second to midnight. And then the next edition it was the same thing, 1 second to midnight, and the story didn't really progress. So although some people don't like Primaris Marines and Belisarius Call and the return of beautiful Primarchs, I'm all for it because, like I said, it is pushing that story forward, and more story. Please give it more. I read every day 40k lore, and I want to continue having new stuff to read all the time. Number 2, the rules and how to build armies. So far, I've been quite impressed with a bunch of the new rules. I'm really excited to see how they're going to play. And specifically, I'm really excited for the return of things like allied forces. So building your army has always felt kind of fluid. And the last little while, it's felt a little bit more constricted. And I'm hopeful that they're kind of open it up a little bit more and make it a little bit more interesting to create armies. I've loved how they've shown off the idea that we're going to be able to take Mechanicum forces allied into knights, and hopefully more interesting allied systems will open up for more armies. Like that knight one in specific, we've always wanted some form of household guard to go along with knights, some sort of infantry force that can stay back and hold objectives and hold the backfield while the big stompy robots go off and fight. And this is just going to open up that. Obviously, they're sticking with the Mechanicum, but remember, the Mechanicum things they're giving us, like the Rangers and the Skitarii Vanguard, they're just profiles. You could take those profiles and convert up your own household guard miniatures, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. So, like I said, I'm excited to see what the rules play like. I'm excited for the Allied Matrix. I'm excited for the detachment points and see how all those things push together to make an awesome and hopefully smooth gaming experience. Number 3 is colored scenery. I do actually quite like the colored scenery, even though I'm quite a big fan of making, building, and painting scenery myself. There is, of course, a whole host of people out there that don't have the time to invest in the hobby that a lot of other people do, so they have to focus on doing things like their armies and stuff. So having the ability to just walk to a store and build a beautiful table already pre-painted is going to help so many people out. It's going to relieve a whole lot of stress and pressure, and especially on people like tournament organizers. Usually when you go to an event or a tournament, the organizers try their best to give you beautiful tables from first table to last table, but that's really not a realistic goal. Usually it's the first kind of 3 or 5 tables that are really, really special, and the rest are just kind of made up with whatever they get their hands on. I'm really not a big fan of those kind of MDF L-shaped buildings with no detail on them that just kind of represent buildings. So if they can just get rid of all that and replace it with nice, beautiful pre-painted scenery, I'm all for it. Number 4 is the Dominatus deck. So they're getting an additional deck of cards in with the launch of the Armageddon box set. And of course, they'll sell them separately afterwards, I'm sure. And hopefully other ones will come out in the future. And I don't really know a lot about how that is going to work, but I love what it implies. So the Dominatus deck is designed to allow you to play through a Warhammer 40k campaign in a couple of hours or in a weekend or whatever, as opposed to having to sit down and write one out yourself and write your objectives and write your missions and write your story. The Dominatus deck will do that for you. And obviously, I don't expect that to replace all campaigns ever, but the idea that they're training people and players from the starter box that the campaign is a way to play this game. You can set up and you can play linked games and linked stories with your friends. Obviously, this will show you the basics, and then you can go away and write bigger and bolder campaigns, which take weeks or months or years or whatever. But I just like that they've included it. So it's going to show people right from the get-go who are getting into Warhammer 40,000 in 11th edition that this is a significant way to play, and it's really awesome and it's really interesting, and it's not something they have to kind of stumble along and find later on. It's just like right in their face right from the beginning. So I love that. So that's a big thumbs up for me. And number 5 is scenery in general. So obviously I am a big aesthetics guy. I've talked, well, obviously in part 3 where I was talking about 40k scenery or tournament scenery. One of the things that I always found really upsetting was if a tournament organizer puts so much effort into creating big, beautiful tables, and then you put these giant dinner plate objective markers all over the whole table, and it looks awful. You're taking photographs and it looks awful, and it just ruins my immersion. And I know immersion isn't for everybody, but it's super important for me, which means it's super important for, I'm sure, a lot of people out there. So the idea of getting rid of those dinner plate objective markers off and having the scenery bases represent the objectives, that to me is a beautiful change. It's small, it's subtle, but I think it's going to be so important. And having the scenery pieces themselves be objectives means you can do awesome scenery projects, make fuel dumps or make HQ bunkers, or, you know what I mean, munitions dumps or whatever. Any of the cool strategic points that in a game of Warhammer 40k, you can see why that unit is charging forward to hold that objective. Is it a holy statue to a saint? Incredible. Go and hold that big rubber circle in the middle of the board. That means nothing to me. That doesn't excite me or engage me at all. Some of the other scenery changes I like are things like the firing down roll, which of course knights and stuff have as well, which means they get better ballistic skill for shooting down on opponents, which means that higher ground in a 40k game actually has a real strategic value these days, whereas before it only kind of had a line of sight, which in last edition that didn't even matter that much anyway. So I think it's awesome changes. So those are the 5 things that I am most excited about for the launch of 11th edition. I would love to hear what you're excited about for 11th edition. If you want to drop a couple of points below, I'm sure I've missed some awesome things that will excite me. And let's just keep the positivity train going, guys. I'm sure a whole bunch of us out there are just super excited for the launch, super excited to get our armies on the table again and start playing games. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do all those usual things, like, comment, make sure that you're subscribed. If you really enjoyed the video, think about checking out the Patreon. It's linked down below. There's a million reasons to get involved with that. You get extra videos, you get extra podcast episodes, you get access to private Discord server, and we do monthly giveaways. This month we're actually giving away a Mechanicum Army box set. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning that army box set, all you need to do is be signed up to the Patreon at any tier. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.